All right, we are live. Instead of a 60-second countdown, we had a 20-second today because I was a little bit late pressing the go live button. Apparently, you need to do that. But here we are. Welcome, everyone. It is Wednesday. It is 4:30 p.m. Central Time. It means office hours here on the Academy. Hi, Andrew. How are things?
Oh, not too bad. I have to thank you for holding down the fort on your own last week. I really appreciate it. Had some last minute things come up, so Johan to the
Yeah,
rescue.
rumors are that you were the designated driver of the afternoon.
That is accurate. Yes, yes. It sort of happens when you have kids.
Yep. And the more you have, the more driving it is.
Exactly. How are things over by you?
Um, Organized chaos. That's the best way to describe it.
There you go. Well, the good thing is, this seems to be the case around this time of year every year, but at the end of this, we have a little bit of relaxation coming up where everybody seems to shut their email off at the end of the year. So we're getting there. There's light at the end of the tunnel, Johan.
It's a beautiful thought. I like it. It made me happy already. Yeah.
There you go. All right. Did have some news updates, though, if you want to hop into it.
I do.
All right.
No rest for the wicked. So let's go.
That's
There,
true.
I think, is your screen with a slight touch better.
There we go. That looks good. So first thing that I wanted to share is Benoit over at the System Center Dudes, based on some feedback from MMS Flamingo Edition, updated the very popular operational ConfigMgr Collections script that he's put out for several years now. I believe that he added about 6 new collections. Let's see in his changelog here. Yeah, collection 149 through 155. I did verify one of them was for Windows 11 24H2. So I suspect that many of these were version collection updates. But fantastic script if you have not used it before, but you are a ConfigMgr user. Recommend having this as a means to sort of report on and deal with collections that are, various things like clients that aren't updated, ConfigMgr clients that aren't updated, or specific versions of Windows 10 and 11. You can see here. I wonder if he's got servers in there as well. Yeah, at least a few.
I need to squeeze in a 2022 and a 2025 as well, I think.
Indeed. We'll have to give that feedback. But fantastic PowerShell script nonetheless. Happy to see that updated, actually. All right. Had a couple of other things that I came across of what appeared to be quite useful things. Adam and Nathan were going back and forth a little bit here on Twitter about onboarding macOS devices into Defender for Endpoint. And the steps that Adam had were significant, 10 plus steps. But Nathan here, who I finally got to meet at MMS Flamingo, fantastic dude, always putting stuff out into the community, very thoughtful and willing to stop and talk through things, just fantastic. Anyways, Nathan said there is actually a better way to onboard your devices, to deploy the MDE agent and onboard your Mac OS devices into MDE. So I wanted to share this as well. Essentially, the Microsoft documentation shows there are several different settings that you have to create and apply to the devices. And the documentation shows that you have one single setting in 10 plus different policies. From a management standpoint, might be a little challenging to keep up with. So Nathan mentioned that you can do that all in one single profile. And then there were some additional improvements that they had on their GitHub that Microsoft has on their GitHub. So I wanted to share this out there for those of you that are managing Mac OS. this seems to be very useful. Also had some great conversation on Twitter yesterday. So after probably, I don't know, 10 years away from having a MacBook, I picked one up over the weekend because you and I often get questions around Macs, Johan, and neither one of us, it's not really our bread and butter. We've sort of been Windows management guys. So I picked one up to start testing out a couple of basic things, platform SSO, and some very basic Intune stuff. I'm not shifting my focus by any means, but the reason that I bring that up is I had a question out on Twitter yesterday for using macOS in a lab or managing macOS in a lab. In production, chances are you're going to have Apple Business Manager or Apple School Manager, which when your organization purchases an Apple device, it will automatically go into Apple Business Manager or Apple School Manager, and then automatically can sync over to your MDM of choice, whether that's Intune or Jamf. But to have either one of those programs, you actually have to have what's called a DUNS number, in order to identify yourself as a legal entity business. So I asked on Twitter, what are some of you out there doing? Asked, and had some great responses from Uger and Dean Ellerby and Adam Gross. Stephen responded, and ranging from, well, you can do most of the things you need to do in a lab, like deploy applications through Intune, or use platform SSO just through user enrollment through the company portal on macOS. But a couple like Adam and Steven actually recommended registering a business and to be able to go through that end-to-end product. So I did want to call that out just because even though we're Windows guys, you and I are predominantly home lab guys too, huge proponents of it, right?
I saw someone that built a cluster with 4 of the new Mini Macs or Mac Minis, whatever they're called. Connect them together with Thunderbolt 5 cables and got some fantastic AI calculation performance out of that little cluster with those devices. And I've seen people before building Windows cluster with like Intel NUC devices and stacking them up in a little rack and whatnot. So that had me intrigued. Like that is actually pretty cool.
Oh, absolutely. I'm really excited for it because not only can I do the macOS management stuff that I want to look at, but you've been working with ARM devices recently, and I don't have any Windows ARM devices here. Kind of can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. At least now I have a Windows ARM OS, so pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to House that I work with, and he also bought a Mac for his development. So he ran Windows on ARM in a VM on that Mac, and he says the performance is just fantastic. And I know you tried something as well, just spinning up a Windows VM. So
yeah, exactly. Install Parallels and basically click new Windows VM, and in a couple of minutes you have a new Windows VM. It's pretty cool.
All right. So what you're really saying is I should probably find an excuse to acquire such device.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably only the 4th time you've heard me talk about Macs in the last week, so
more or less, yes.
I've been dropping my hints regularly. Not so much hints when they're right in your face.
Yeah. All right.
So, anyways, long story long. macOS Lab, awesome. Yes, you can do that if you have macOS and want to lab some of these things in Intune. Also, not sure if you. This might have come out after last week's office hours, so I'm not sure if you were able to mention this last week, Johan, but there was a hotfix release for ConfigMgr that is meant to fix a couple of CMG issues. I know is this the right one? Maybe this is the right one here. Yes, sorry, this is the right one. So not just CMG, but there was the CMG update that came out previously, but you can see there are a couple of other issues on CMG content that were resolved. But Johan, I know you were saying that peering from the CMG is still not fixed.
Still up in the air. They managed to introduce some fun features in 24.03 of ConfigMgr that we've been promised to be fixing 24.09. So I have been holding out for 24.09 for a good while. But that one is apparently a little bit delayed. But we'll see. We have Ignite around the corner starting next week, so maybe they are hitting the release then. One can hope.
Let's hope so, because I was just going to say 2409 if I check my watch.
Yes, it is November, but it's still the right year, so that counts.
That's right. Are you saying there's still hope? There's still a glimmer of it.
Still a glimmer of hope, yes, sir.
All right, perfect. So those were most of the things that I wanted to touch on. Do you want to hit some more news on your end first, Johan, or should I talk about the post that we had on the community?
Do the post, and I can combine mine into one sweep.
Okay, perfect.
So sit down, relax, have some coffee.
There you go. By all means, you put in all the work last week, so you get a little break. So here's what I'm referring to. We had a question from Benny over here on the ViaMonstra community that we've been talking about. Fantastic. We're really starting to get some great engagement, especially over the last week. So I'm very happy to see that. But Benny asked about it when I'm using Intune, what is the best way to configure the semi-annual channel for M365 apps updates? And there was a comment that the cloud update solution in the M365 apps admin center no longer has the option of pushing out the semi-annual channel. And that is correct. So the first thing that I would recommend is rather than going to the current channel, because I do see Benny mentions that he'd like to keep most of the organization on semi-annual and only some on current. Well, Microsoft has been for about 2 years now trying to guide us towards the monthly enterprise channel. And that is what I would recommend if possible in your organization. At least with the monthly enterprise channel, you're going to get updates once a month, typically on like Patch Tuesday, as opposed to current, where you get updates at least once a month. They could be more frequent. So I would recommend going to the monthly enterprise channel first and foremost. As you mentioned here, Benny, you can see that most of the tools are guiding us that way. And there have been some updates and messages in the M365 admin center that have been saying as much for a while now. So that said, that's typically how I am configuring updates in the organizations that I'm part of, is through the M365 Apps Admin Center and just using the monthly enterprise channel. I do not use current very much at all, and semi-annual is more akin to like Windows LTSC, which Microsoft has not been recommending for. Gosh, how long ago was it that Windows 10 LTSC came out? I guess probably 2015.
No, it was called LTSB first.
That's right.
And then they changed it to LTSC. It must have been 2016 or something.
That's right. But even then, when those were released, the recommendation was if you can avoid them.
Stay away from them unless you really have a business case for it.
Exactly. So beyond that, I would recommend there is a excuse me, there is some Microsoft documentation around changing the update channel for your devices. Now, some of these you're probably already going to know. We've been mentioning the M365 Apps Admin Center. You can update the channel with ConfigMgr, with group policy, even the Office deployment tool. If you want to use Intune, you do have to create administrative templates in Intune to do that. I did not get to check and see if Semi Annual channel is available in there. I would expect it to be. But beyond that, you may actually have to get a Semi Annual channel deployment out using the Office deployment tool, because in the config.xml there, you can still configure the Semi Annual channel. So I will post this as well. But if you can, Benny, recommendation is definitely to move to the monthly enterprise channel. Not going to give you as many headaches as the current channel, and you're still going to get more frequent security updates than you would on the semi-annual channel. So if you can do that, that's where I would head. But I will be sure to add this in here as well. All right. That's what I've got for now.
All right. I noticed that Michael Niehaus sent a comment in here. He is also waiting for a new ConfigMgr version. And in fact, not just one version, or actually two versions, because let me show you this one. The technical preview is expiring, and well, you need to upgrade to a new version to have it not expire. So hopefully the team will release one of those also, so you can keep our technical preview labs up and running. So
let's hope so.
Yeah, otherwise it's export import, no fun before it expires. But all right, I had a few things, so I'm gonna go ahead and steal the screen when I find that little button.
Steal away.
Yes, sir. All right. So first of all, I stumbled across something I thought was really cool. I was playing around with remediations in Intune, and I stumbled across this beta command that actually gives you the state of remediations. I was working with a customer where we, based on a remediation, the success or failure of it, we're adding devices to groups. So we knew that devices had passed the validation or remediation, and then we would also add them into a group without touching the client side. So we can have this script running on a server somewhere, and probably an Azure function too, but we just ran it on a server. But that was just a sidebar. I just thought it was pretty cool that command that exists. I haven't tried it before, so that was a happy surprise. Now, what I wanted to show you in terms of news was that our friend over at Get Rubik's finished up today the grand final of a long 8-part journey on how to get started with Intune. So if you haven't been following this blog series, I highly recommend it. It's not too much to read, short, sweet, to the point, and many of the topics that are discussed in this little 8-part journey is also part of the YouTube channel that is maintained there. So just want to share this one out. Thought it was pretty cool. Then we had another question on the community. So for those of you that are fairly new to our office hours, we did open up a community earlier this year. This is where you can post questions that we will discuss and bring up also in office hours, but of course also answer in the community. But if you cannot join us for whatever reason, live, for example, people in Europe don't usually want to stay up until midnight just to catch up on office hours. For those of you that does, I'm forever grateful. I can see that Dean was joining us earlier. It's close to midnight over there, so thank you for joining. But this is where you can post questions and whatnot. And the question that came in was around speeding up imaging. So the question was, all right, I have a lot of driver packages. How can I make that go faster? Well, the easiest solution to that one is simply create WIM files of those driver packages. So if I go to my ConfigMgr server here, you can see I have no driver packages. Don't use this one. But I have packages with drivers because there is a difference. Legacy packages gives you much more control of the process. You don't have to import drivers. You don't bloat your database. And if I take one of these device drivers or driver packages and open up the data source for it, you can see that just a single WIM file in that package. And when I open that WIM file in 7-zip, this is where you see that the content is just a regular driver packet with audio, video, NIC drivers, etc. And interesting enough is the size different also. That WIM file is about 1 gig. Uncompressed, it's about 2.5 gigs. And obviously, it's way quicker to download 1 gig, a single file, compared to a 2.5 gig of content and tons of small files. So the question was, okay, how do we create these packages? I happen to be a big fan of this particular PowerShell script. It is a tool. It's available in exe file, but it is really a PowerShell script. And Maurice Daly, who is the author of the tool, he has also released the PowerShell script. So if you're interested in how to build a fairly complicated UI in PowerShell, well, there you have your example. But I like this tool. I like this script. You simply select the models that you want. You make sure to, in the ConfigMgr settings, select to create WIM files. There are other options as well, but WIM files is simply the best format. So you collect the models you have and you click download and then take a coffee break. And when you come back, you have a bunch of packages, WIM files. If you have existing stuff that you don't want to use this tool for, by all means, you can just open up a little PowerShell prompt and it can be as simple as this. Specify a folder where you have some stuff. Specify a temp folder. Copy the stuff over to the temp folder and generate a WIM file. Technically, I wouldn't have copied over from to a temp folder, but I happen to like to do that because often my drivers, they're all on a remote file share somewhere, so you should copy them down before creating the WIM file. But this is really the magic. Single command line, takes a folder, generates a WIM file, and then you have the package. Now, the second part to that question is, okay, how do you tell the sequence to use it? Well, also PowerShell. So if I go to a ConfigMgr sequence, I can take my 23H2 here. Yeah, use this to specify variables. This is a user count that you need to have grant read access in ConfigMgr, and then you run a script. This script is part of the download, and this script figures out what package it needs and downloads and extracts the content, or mount the content and copies it. So it's being injected during deployment. So that allows you to have, you don't have to modify your sequences just because you need to add in support for a new model. So this is very, very simple setup. Works well, and it's just PowerShell. So if you have features you want to add yourself, by all means, edit the script. Yeah, so that was a little bit of rant of about driver packages, and I see Mike Terrell. I'm going to show that post. Absolutely, winning is winning. I couldn't have said it better myself. Thank you, Mike, for that one. Very good. All right. What questions do we have?
All right. First one that we have is from Matt, asking if we have used FIDO2 passkeys to log into a device. If so, how? Saw an issue when adding the passkey under security info for a user. So I have actually got a couple of YubiKeys right here. What I have not done, though, is done the pre-provisioning where I'm adding it for a user ahead of time. But Johan, if you don't mind sharing my screen for a moment.
I'll see what I can do.
You know a guy?
I know a guy.
There we go. Thank you, sir. In the Entra Admin Center under Protection and then Authentication Methods, you do have to have FIDO2 keys enabled. So here in my lab, I do not currently have them enabled. But if I wanted to, I could click on them, enable them. I could select a group of users that are allowed to register FIDO2 passkeys. But over here on the configure side, you could just have the most basic setup would allow users to go ahead and purchase one and then self-service configure one on their own. And if you want to, you can enforce only specific keys, basically saying that we only allow maybe these versions of YubiKeys or this version of the Microsoft Authenticator for a software-based passkey, that sort of thing. But it's most basic. You can go in here, hit enable. You can allow all users to enable it, self-service setup, and that's that. So the configurations on the server side or service side is pretty straightforward. So hopefully that helps. But again, I haven't gone through, Matt, if you're talking about the pre-provisioning, I haven't gone through any of that just yet.
Sounds like homework to me.
It's not bad. That seems like fun homework. Yeah, you and I have an interesting idea of fun sometimes, but hey.
Yeah, I'm living up to my shirt.
Yeah, exactly. All right. We've got another question here. Have you seen co-managed devices having to repair work and school account connection every day? The device is compliant and don't seem to have any obvious issues. So I have seen an uptick in some devices that have something that sounds similar, but it's not happening every day. And unfortunately, when it has come up, I have not found a solution when it's been reported to me. So unfortunately, I don't have a good answer, but I have been seeing something similar to that, as well as some additional posts on Microsoft's forums and things like that, where that issue is coming up. Have you seen anything like that, Johan?
Not with that frequency, no.
Yeah.
That will be as no fun as it is. Probably the best bet is to get a support kit going on it.
Yeah.
So at least someone else can work the issue instead of you.
Agreed. All right. Matt is asking about installing Ricoh printer drivers using Intune. So we don't have to have the end user calling the help desk to install it on their own due to the print nightmare bug.
Ricoh, that's a name I haven't heard in a while.
Oh, they're definitely out there. So I found a post, maybe. Hold on, let me see. I have, so full disclosure, have not used this myself. If you're gonna use it, please test it. Not in production, but I came across, and Matt very well could have come across this blog post as well. Anyways, looks like this blog post was just from a few months ago. And it's titled exactly what I was hoping for: install Ricoh driver with Intune. Basically, looks like there is a Ricoh packaging tool that you can use that will download the PCL drivers for the Ricoh devices. And then let's see how it packages them up here. Yep, Win32 app. Which I think for drivers like this, Johan, this has been sort of one of the common ways that you've seen, right? If you need to deploy a specific driver out there, you can just package it as a Win32 app.
Yeah. There are some other documentations around that as well. MS Endpoint Manager had a post on it. Microsoft Learning itself has a post on it. But it's basically scripting the process one way or another.
Yeah.
But in this case, if the vendor provides a good setup utility, or in this case, a packager that does the job, why not use it? So, all right. Good find.
Yeah, thank you. That was an easy one. So hopefully that works for you, Matt. If it does, please let us know.
Yeah.
All right. Bruce is asking if you have tried Microsoft Connected Cache in your lab yet. Deployment speed definitely got faster as the content is mostly all local now. Presumably, this is the new standalone MCC. So, Johan, have you had the chance to try it out yet?
Oh, yes and yes.
He's so happy.
Yeah, it's one of those announcements this year, but I've been waiting for it for 3.5 years to have that standalone release. But to give me some context, on the dang it, I need to hide that window. Give me a moment.
Sure. Switch back to my screen if you need to.
I'll fix it. I know a guy. There we go. Here we are. So when we run trainings in Academy, we have up to 40 different Hyper-V hosts on which students create 1, 2, 3, 5, 6, 7 VMs times 40.
Mm-hmm.
And my internet connection dies when that happens, because those VMs, when they come online, they want to update themselves. So very, very early when we started to do like hands-on labs, like a cache server was the first thing I implemented, because that's the only way I could allow this to happen without my internet provider basically yelling at me and why are you doing this? If you remember the movie Christmas Vacation, when Griswolds turn on all the lights in his house and the nearby power plant just boom. Yeah, that's what my ISP was doing every time we had a class. So now I don't get yelled at least. But the standalone versions, I have 2 nodes up and running here that I've been playing around with. MCC1 and MCC2. They're on different networks supporting different environments. So that's why I have 2 of them. In addition to the one I have in my lab, the other lab. But in my Azure portal, if I log in and go to my connected cache and check my cache nodes, this is where they are, up and running as a container. These are Windows 11 devices. So fairly straightforward to set up. You need to install WSL and reboot. Then you need to create an account and assign some permissions. And then you install that container that you download. The container is about 1 gig in size that you download. But all in all, 10-15 minutes to set up. And then you have a cache. And the only thing you need to do on the client side is tell the clients where to go. And that can be done through a policy in Intune, a group policy, a registry key, a script sets that registry key, group TJCP, scope options. So if you have multiple networks, you can basically say that this network will use this cache server and that network will use that cache server without having to have like 200 Intune policies, because Intune is good at many things, but it doesn't know about networks. Or you invest in an agent that kind of sets that for you. That's also an option. But yeah, no, it's been working great so far. And I saw Bruce comment earlier also, seemed to be happy with it. So good stuff. Finally,
Awesome.
finally.
Yeah. Yeah, I've got this on my homework list for this weekend as well. I haven't deployed it quite yet.
Yeah. I believe we shared Nihau's post at some point in office hours. If not, I can bring it up. He went through the setup a little bit on it. But yeah, again, pretty straightforward to get going.
Very cool.
Yep.
All right. Amir has a question saying hello and a welcome back to me. Thank you, Amir. Appreciate it. It's great to be back. Is it possible to use the driver packages WIM file that you just shared in MDT as well? Or is it an SCCM thing only? So I think this is referring back to the driver automation tool demo that you were showing a minute ago.
Yeah. Well, yes and no. Most folks, or maybe not. You may know that for the past 4 or 5 years, we've been working on an extension to MDT called Powershell, or Powershell Deployment, PSD. In that platform, we basically ripped out all the VB scripts and replaced them with PowerShell. And when we did that, we also improved the driver management. So in this deployment share, which is a MDT deployment share with sequences and whatnot, images and applications, but no drivers here. I could add in boot image drivers here, but I don't need any drivers for Windows here, because behind the scenes, we have driver packages, and they are WIM files. So that PowerShell script looks on the deployment share for matching Windows and model versions and uses a WIM file instead of everything that you used to in the past, like importing to the workbench. So now we don't even have to do the import, except for boot image drivers. So if you want to leverage this in regular MDT, you will have to basically borrow that script and do modifications to it, because it will not work out of the box. So it's doable. It's definitely doable. But I would recommend take this one because it's already developed and tested. Last time I talked to Michael Nystrom, the deployment amount was more than 100,000 clients based on this. So
Wow.
It's fairly popular. So primarily used to rebuild environments after ransomware attacks. But we have organizations that use this as their primary way of deploying Windows also. So it's up here, it's available. And yes, I know I only have a single verified email address. I'm good with that for now. But yeah, this is how you get going. So the answer is yes.
Awesome. All right. We had another fantastic comment here from our good friend Mike Terrell asking if we mentioned the news out of VMware about Fusion and Workstation.
Oh, yes. Blogs VMware.com, right?
Yeah, he dropped the link in there too if you want to copy it.
There you go. That will be the link. Showing off nicely, and I see if I can get it up to the screen somehow. I can't bloody select it.
Oh, that's you can.
Try again. I got it.
All right.
It took me a while. Free for all users, and most important, including commercial. this is shiny. My
Trying to
guess
get
is they lost some customers.
Trying to get some goodwill out there, I suspect.
Yep. Yeah. I cannot say I'm thrilled how that was all handled earlier this year, but I am grateful that this is available for everyone and it's free, because VMware Workstation is a pretty good hypervisor. It works real well. I've been doing that for years. So.
Yep. I agree. All right. Thanks for reminding us, Mike. Had a follow-up tip here from Russell. Thanks for sharing this, Russell. This is related to switching from semi-annual to monthly enterprise for M365 apps. A while back, we migrated from semi-annual to monthly enterprise and found that the CDN base URL value in registry did not update and had to be scripted to match the update channel value.
All right, I'm going to show that comment because that was a good one.
Yeah.
Appreciate that. Thank you, Russell.
Yeah, thank you very much. I like the use of sharing the comments today. This is working out very nicely.
Yeah, I've been practicing.
Yeah. All right. Ed's asking, if I enroll reimaged devices into Intune and then ship them to the end user, will the user become the primary user, and will it then be removed from my 15 device enrollment limit? So if you log in first, you will be the primary user. You would actually have to go into Intune. I guess, oh yeah, you did say Intune, sorry. You would have to go into the Intune Admin Center, and there is a button in the properties of a device to change the primary user to another user. So I believe that you would have to perform that action at that time. And of course, you can also change primary user with Graph as well. So hope that helps, Ed. All right. Got another question over on YouTube. Does the targetOSVersion parameter actually matter in the MDM script? I noticed yours was still set to 21H2 on the 23H2 task sequence.
There is logic in the script to detect that. Don't remember on the top of my head how it worked. But there is also a fallback option where you can say it can fall back to a different driver set if the demand that is matching is not available. Because there is a description on the package itself. Let's see if I go over here. No, I will have to look how that is implemented. I got some homework too. I don't remember on the top of my head. Comes with age, Henry.
Yeah.
Maybe you can open the script and see what documentation says about it. It's not too terribly complicated. targetOSVersion. No, so it actually looks at the operating system that you are deploying to match a filter.
So just had a follow-up comment here too. The fallback package is why I asked. I'm trying to determine how I'm supposed to build one universal fallback package, unless I'm misunderstanding that concept. Sorry, I added some words there at the end.
Yeah, so that is more intended for a specific model that cannot be detected. It's not for a generic package in that case. I think what you're looking for is something that similar to what we added here, where we have we have the regular model packages, but we also have generic driver packages that we add in, like if you have a keyboard with a smart card that requires a driver, or if you have something that all device needs, like a printer driver or something that is not really tied to a model. That's when we use a concept like that. And then we also have a fallback driver path, but for something else. That's for the model. So I don't think the apply driver image script supports the concept of a generic driver path. It is not the end of the world to add one in. I've worked with one customer. They did not use the main script because they were doing offline media at the time. So we just had the old school way of doing things, hence the name legacy, where we will just have a driver package being downloaded to a folder. And that could be a generic driver package, doesn't have to be a model. And then a Powershell script that simply extracted that WIM file to a folder and injected the drivers. So you can just add a step to your sequence that downloads a generic package, and you have a script that just extract and inject those. And you can do that either before or after you do the other MDM stuff. I haven't seen an option in the MDM script to do a generic driver package. The fallback is for if the model doesn't exist. Unless I missed the memo somewhere. But either way, that should work.
Thank you, sir.
Mm-hmm.
All right. We had another follow-up comment here around the constant repair for work and school accounts on co-managed devices. Russell said that in his case, the constant account check was related to conditional access policies at a former employer. We had to exempt a few Microsoft Cloud apps, and you can find that information on Google. So thank you, Russell. It's a good thread to pull on. There we go. Thank you, sir. All right. Oh, I think you're muted.
Good call. I was. So I said good call and thank you.
Well, you're not muted anymore.
Yeah.
All right. Oleg is saying here, basically got Windows 11 24H2 all set up except one small thing. Can't set start menu and taskbar at imaging or login stage, so then users can modify as per their need. Intune is locking it. Good to know. Still haven't had too much of a chance to work with customization on 24H2 yet, or test any of the customization stuff.
No, me neither. That's something that is up for the holidays.
Yes. All right. Amir is asking, have you guys heard or seen anything new about web sign-in issue with Windows 11 24H2? It's supposed to be fixed in the insider version, but I couldn't even get the button to show up in there. I haven't seen anything. Amir, I think it was you that mentioned the web sign-in a few weeks back. I haven't seen any blog posts or anything that have stuck out to me that have been an update for that.
No, I haven't seen it either. I mean, there was a new release yesterday, a new update released for Windows 11. Well, it was patch Tuesday yesterday, so
Yeah.
patches everywhere. But so maybe try that and see if something been fixed. But I do not know.
Yeah.
I haven't heard anything.
Okay. Diego is asking if we have any reports to get local administrators from Intune, local administrators on Windows devices in Intune. So I know Damien had a blog post from a couple of years back that I can share here using log analytics and a remediation script that will detect that information and push it up into log analytics.
Do you have it on your screen?
I do, yes.
All right.
So there is this here. Again, essentially, as long as you have log analytics, you can take these files from his GitHub. And if we scroll down, I imagine that we're going to have, yep, a remediation script right here. So this, just at first glance, doesn't look like it would be too different, even a few years on from this initial post. So I would give that a try. I've become quite a big fan of using log analytics to fill some of these reporting gaps. It's worked out very well alongside custom remediation scripts that can push that information up securely. I did also come across a post on Reddit, which also happens to mention Damien's post there. But if you have Defender for Endpoint, there is an advanced hunting query or KQL query here that might be able to get you some of the way as well.
That was a large KQL query.
Yes, quite large. A couple of different versions here in the post, so hopefully those help. Natively, though, I am not aware of any way to gather that information. All right. And then Russell just had another follow-up comment on the worker school issue. Couldn't find the original post, but there are 3 apps to exclude. Would you mind sharing that comment, Johan, that has the 3 apps in it?
So that was the comment about the apps, and then here is a list of the apps. So thank you, Russell. Thank you for sharing that.
Perfect.
And all right. Brilliant.
And it's already 5:23. But that leaves us with 7 minutes left.
Yeah, indeed. Here is a better formatted comment with breaks in the names.
Oh, there we go. That looks great.
That's service right there.
Yes, it is.
All right.
It's funny. I just Googled the activity feed service alongside conditional access, and I've got a lot of purple links there. So you can tell that I was troubleshooting at one point as well.
Yep. Well, we can announce a sneak preview ish. December 20, right? Friday? Or was it 19? 20?
20. Yep.
20. We're going to do a live event on the online community, and it's going to be about software updates. That's been like the common theme for the last I wouldn't say almost 2 years, but we have a lot of questions on how does software updates actually work in Intune. So we finally decided to sit down. All right, let's take a break and just focus on that for half an hour and just dive into to that. So that's what we're going to do, and you'll be able to see those announcements here. And I doubt you will miss it on social media either. So I will make sure to mention when it's posted and all that this stuff is up. But December 20, nice relaxing Friday before the holidays kick in, and yeah, should be fun. And gonna raffle out some ViaMonstra swags, are the rumors.
Yes.
For the attendees, Andrew.
Oh, man.
Anyhow. Yeah. But I do not see any other questions coming in.
I don't know either, but fantastic stuff today. I mean, we always do have, but really, you guys came through with some great questions, great comments here. I love to see it.
Beautiful. All right. But that means that it's time for us to say thank you so much, everyone, for joining. Thank you, Andrew, for being back here with me. And we hope to see you again next Wednesday. Have a good one.
All right. Thank you, Johan, and thank you, everybody, for joining. See you soon.